under the yoke of a ruthless dictatorship after almost 60 years of communist rule. Our Cuban exile community learned of the death of dictator Fidel Castro last week, just after our family's celebration of Thanksgiving. Upon hearing the news, our community took to the streets to express their emotions and sentiments, deeply rooted within the hearts and souls of every Cuban family, touched in one way or another by this dictator's regime. We saw the younger generations of our children and grandchildren celebrating the tyrant's death as a demonstration of respect, love, and gratitude for the sacrifices made by their parents and grandparents, many of them no longer with us, who saw their lives, dreams, and all they had worked so hard for to build shattered at the whim of Fidel Castro and his revolution. And in spite of all their suffering, started anew in this great nation to give their children and grandchildren the opportunity to be born and to be raised free. There is a truth that begs to be told about this so-called revolutionary leader. There is a question that begs to be answered. Who was really Fidel Castro? Fidel Castro is no hero. He was the most ruthless dictator in our hemisphere and directly responsible for the pain and suffering inflicted upon the Cuban nation. Fidel Castro leaves a legacy of death, murders, crimes, executions, imprisonment of thousands and thousands of men and women who suffered the political prisons, torture, family separation, repression, violence, destruction, and misery. Fidel Castro was a sworn enemy of the United States and almost had a nuclear attack launched against our U.S. borders. Under his rule, Cuba became a fertile ground for terrorists and American fugitives from justice. On February 24th, 1996, and the parents of one of the martyrs are here with us today, him and his brother Raul Castro ordered the shootdown of two brothers to the rescue, small, defenseless, and civilian planes in international airspace that were conducting a humanitarian flight to save the lives of Cubans fleeing the island in search for freedom, murdering 3 American citizens and 1 American resident. Today, they live and they're here with us in spirit and in courage. Many of our Latin American friends who accompany us today were also victims of dictator Fidel Castro as he spread terrorism and guerrilla warfare throughout the Western Hemisphere, causing thousands of deaths. His forays in Africa were always in support of brutal dictators. History will definitely not absolve him. He will be forever remembered for his long list of crimes and human rights violations committed against humanity and the Cuban nation. There is a marked contrast between the news and images coming out of the island on the death of Fidel Castro and the news and images coming out of our exiled community. There is a stark difference, all right. There is a difference between a totalitarian dictatorship and a democratic system such as the one we are privileged to live in. A totalitarian dictatorship, while the Cuban people in the island are forced to behave in a certain way and are unable to express their true feelings, Even they cannot laugh, they cannot sing, they cannot say, good day, have a good day, because the party orders that nothing is good after the death of the maximum leader. Our community can freely express its views, raising its voice on behalf of all those who cannot raise theirs in Cuba. Let us call Fidel Castro for what he was, a ruthless and brutal dictator who led what is the longest-standing dictatorship in our hemisphere. A brutal dictator has died, but our struggle has not ended. The dictatorship remains under the repressive control of dictator Raúl Castro, his brother. Fidel Castro has died, but what has not died is the will and resolve of the Cuban people, all of us, and all of them in the island who are committed to bring about true democratic change to Cuba. We believe this is the beginning of the end for the regime that has arbitrarily ruled Cuba and denied human rights and fundamental liberties to its people for so long. We believe that the regime will not survive the dictator's demise. There are many factors that are coming together which vote positively for the cause of a free Cuba. We have to take advantage of this factor. This is our moment. We must come together as a resistance like never before and set out a specific program of actions to be undertaken at different levels. We need to continue with the mobilization and this pressure. We all need to stay involved. As a united community, we ask and seek, and this is very important. Number one, a reversal to the unilateral concessions made to the Castro regime by the Obama administration. Number two, support for the Cuban Liberty Act, which is the law of the United States and firmly establishes democracy and human rights as the priority in U.S. policy towards Cuba. This must be upheld by the administration, by the Trump administration. Number three, international condemnation of the regime for its crimes and supports from the international community for the reconstruction of Cuba. And number four, increased support and coordination for the resistance within the island. Today more than ever, we remember our martyrs, political prisoners and victims of Fidel Castro's tyranny. It is to them that our Cuban exile organizations and all of us dedicate this rally. It is to all those who set an example and never compromise their values or principles, for whom we raise our unified voice today. It is for all of them, and for the future of freedom, justice, and democracy, for Cuba they envision and strive for. Today, more than ever, we are all proud to be part of this extraordinary community. Our community is united by a common goal. Our community is committed to a sacred cause. Our community carries on its struggle, and our community lives in each and every one of us. May God bless Cuba, and may God bless the United States of America. And today we say again what the members of the heroic Brigade 2506 said that day, long ago. And I want you to repeat after me, all together. We will never abandon our homeland. Viva